to a special edition playoff headliners here at season number 2 on TV 13, and our coverage will continue this week. As in our studios this week is kind of not a repeat from last week. Believe it or not, these two guys are not playing each other again. Bruce Hardin, A.L. Brown, as his team will be hosting Burns from Shelby Way Friday night in the first round of the playoffs. E.Z. Smith has joined us from the Concord Spiders. They'll be hosting Lincolnton. I think that's an 8 o'clock start instead of a 7:30 start for Concord. Larry Mason, my sidekick, had a previous engagement, so he will hopefully be with us Friday. I hope he's going to be with us Friday. I tell you, after this past week, I needed some oxygen, and we'll talk maybe a little bit about that. We'll welcome your calls as well here on TV 13 as we're planning to be here and talk a little football, as we're just happy to have Concord and Kannapolis in the playoffs, and it's a brand new season. Nobody's any better than anybody else. We'll talk about it when Headliners comes back after this. On a Wednesday night, Bruce Hardin, E.Z. Smith, our guest, and thank you folks for joining us here. Hope your favorite politician won last night in the elections. If he didn't, then it's your fault for not voting, I guess. First off, I want to make a correction. We'll move back to the game. I've already apologized, I think, to Bruce Hardin, but the guy who caught the winning touchdown pass is Scott, but his last name is not Rogers. His name is Jordan, and it's probably the only mistake I made at the end of the game. I made quite a few there, but Scott, if you're listening, congratulations on a great catch. Scott Jordan. And what makes it more embarrassing is, guys, he used to live across the street from me for 8 years. But I'll tell you how that story come out. Scott Rogers played at Brown a few years ago, and when we moved 5 years ago, Scott's my neighbor now, and I'd seen Scott before the game, so at least I had the right team and I had Scott, but it was Scott Jordan. I want to apologize for that. Only the biggest play in the history of A.L. Brown High School, and I guess there goes my raise next year, right, guys?
That's right.
Well, listen, let's talk a little bit. Z, you guys have seen each other a lot in the last week. You're well, you survived. It's another week. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Randy. What a great opportunity we had to play in a football game like the Concord-Kannapolis game. I think it was probably the most excited I've been. It was at the height of excitement and the depths of despair all in just a few short seconds. And, Bruce and I talked last night a little bit. We've both been on both sides of that. We've won and we've lost like that. But the opportunity the kids had to play in a game like that, the big plays that were made during the course of the game, and the fans got to see a good game. And I think both coaching staffs had their teams well prepared, and the players played. I think the most important thing, it was an error-free, penalty-free football game. There was no taunting, there was no pointing, there was no talking. It was just a good, clean football game. I'd have paid $50 to see it.
Bruce, have you woke up yet? You finished yourself?
It's hard to go to sleep Friday night, but usually in this time of season, the next day you're concerned with Burns. You kind of forget Concord and get ready for them, because big games like that don't really mean that much unless you can come back the next day and start preparing, get a team ready for what's in store ahead.
Tell you guys a funny story. The Channel 9 WSSC, Bradford Miller, he and I are pretty good buddies, go back a few years, but Brett was saying he had a choice of assignments last weekend, and he could either cover the Charlotte Hornets opener or do the Concord-Kannapolis game, and he chose to cover y'all's game. So I tell you, word is out. Word is out. Emotions, we talked about it, Z. The kids obviously disappointed, but life does go on. And how have they reacted this week in practice?
We've had a good day. I think Saturday was the toughest day for all of us. It's like I said in the newspaper, we all have to get up and face ourselves and know we did the best we could do. And we'll go out and produce what kind of person you are in life and what kind of character you respond to. What we did Monday was we went out in helmets and shorts and just jerseys, and we kind of briskly went through some of our errors and some of the things that we have to do to get better. Then when practice was over with, a group of our parents got together and had a cookout. And it was such a wonderful time that parents and players could get together and sit down and relax. The comments this week by our teachers at school have been they're amazed at how well our players have bounced back, and I think that's due to our youth. Last year we were basically a senior-dominated football team, and I think a lot of our seniors, after we lost the Kannapolis game last year, they went into the Lexington game with a little different attitude than this group does. Our group of young men are young, they're excited, they want to play another week, they want to advance just as far as they possibly can. And I'll be real disappointed, Randy, if we don't come out and give a strong showing right off the bat against Lincoln.
Bruce, maybe you've got the opposite problem, trying to get them to come down to earth after last week.
Well, not really. I think Steve Winsenreid asked me on the field Friday night, and he said, you know, how are you going to bring them down? I said, no, let's get higher. You know, but I think you have to, I think that particular win was good for us because as a coaching staff, it helped us to raise our level of play where you have to at this particular time of the year. And I learned a lot of things Friday night. I thought Coach did an excellent job getting his team prepared. And I look back and reflect on some of the things that I did, maybe was concerned then that I learned some things and maybe we'll do different next time.
I know how you guys feel. I think I'm just glad to be a part of it myself. I said I've been doing games a long time. I've never seen anything like it, and it's got to be a relief knowing now the playoffs are underway. You don't have to play your neighbor anymore, and hey, let's get somebody new, throw some new meat in there, right?
That'd be a great thing. I don't think the people in Cabarrus County and Kannapolis really realize what a great person Bruce is. Bruce has done a lot of things for me over the last 2 years. I can't say over the television right now, and maybe a couple years down the road I'll be able to tell him, but what an asset he's been to Cabarrus County and Kannapolis and Concord too. And I think, you know, when you've got somebody of the caliber that's like that and the gentleman that he is, and the way he promotes football at A.L. Brown, the fans ought to be proud, and of course I know the student body is in the administration. So that's, you know, I think that's the kind of program you try to build. I know we want to try to get to the level they're at, and I learned a lot of things from him, and I've learned great respect over the last 2 years for him. So I'd like to congratulate them for the job they've done.
That's nice. You guys can still be friends.
No, it's all it's about. And I think that's the best compliment I think either one of us could pay each other. We're rivals, but yet the nicest thing is we're friends. And man, you don't want anything in life but friends.
That's true.
I was fortunate enough when I started coaching in Charlotte that Dave Harris and Dick Williams and Gus Purcell and well-known coaches would go out and have dinner on Thursday night and play the big rival game on Friday night. That it's made a lasting impression on me, and I always want to keep it in that perspective myself.
And besides, I guess in life, that's a game itself, isn't it? Right. Oh, hey, we're philosophizing. I can even say it. I know I can't spell it, but let's talk a little bit about this week's ball game. I know we're going to open the lines up here in just a couple of minutes for you folks at home to call in and talk to coaches. But let's talk a little bit about Burns. Maybe it was a good and bad. I said, you're playing a team that is very good, Bruce, out of Shelby. Anybody up in there, Cleveland County's got to be good in football.
Well, in their one conference loss, they experienced the same thing that Coach Smith did Friday night. They had tied the ball game up and chose to go for 2 to win the conference championship, and they made it, and a penalty that was called, and they had to do it again. The kick was blocked, so that's the only reason they were in that situation. I talked to Jim Taylor at Shelby High School, who's, you know, been on top for many years, and Jim's first expression was they're the cream of the crop in our conference. They're well respected, and they've got all the players back from their second round trip to the playoffs last year. They have excellent size. Their quarterback, he's not the scrambler that Kenny Robinson is, but if you give him ample time, he'll just pick you apart. And they've got a young man, a runner, Montgomery, who's got close to 1,000 yards. And I guess the most impressive thing that we've tried to relay to our players is you just don't knock these people off the ball. They're big and strong, and I knew their coach when he was an assistant for Jim Secord at South Meck when they won the state championship, and he's a big believer in the weight program, and what you see on film, they're just a very physical ball club, and they play with a real high level of confidence, which really concerns you as a coach.
Well, we're going to be back. I'll take a break, talk more about Burns and A.L. Brown and Lincolnton and Concord. E.Z. Smith and Bruce Hardin are our guests here on our special Headliners Playoff Edition. We'll be back to open up the phone lines when we continue. Stay with us. Middle coffee cup here when you're got Kannapolis and Concord coaches here. You know, Z, it's okay. You bring the Spider Cup in here. We saw the Kannapolis ring last week, and we want to show the Concord Spider. This is a 1990 edition. Is that right?
I don't know what it is. I just wanted a cup of coffee so bad I just put it in anything I could find.
Scott, I hope you get a shot of this because this coffee is still hot. One time I put this cup down, I'll tell you. But Bruce said he put a K on this, but I'm not sure. Whatever. That phone line, well, I tell you, this is a curse here. We are going to have, I can't answer that one, guys. Okay? 938-9011 or 938-8414 are our phone numbers. Let's talk a little bit about the Wolves of Lincolnton. Much better team. That's a tough conference. That's out of the West Caldwell, the Big Six.
Big 6 team, 3A. They're the number 2 seed. They're 8-2. The only 2 football games they lost to West Caldwell, who were the conference champions, and they lost to Shelby. And of course, Shelby's been known as a tradition for a lot of years. So they were 8-2 during the regular season. Richard Smith is their head coach. Richard was there for years as an assistant with Bonray Harris, and then when he retired, he got the job. They run basically out of an I formation. They're multiple front 50 defense, and they like to run it and throw it. They give us a combination. That's all we need to do is see somebody throw it more. I think I've seen more passes in the last 4 weeks than I've thrown in the last 11 years.
Why an 8 o'clock start, say, versus 7:30? Was that a kind of a compromise between you?
You know, last week I didn't get an opportunity to take a nap before the game, and I needed that 30 extra minutes. We just felt like the people from Lincolnton coming that far, a little over an hour and 15 minutes, 30 minutes would maybe make a difference in our crowd and would allow them some time. And I like the 8 o'clock games. I'll just be real honest with you. We called the state association and asked them if it was by mutual agreement that we could have 8 o'clock starting time, and they agreed that we could. And so we just felt like it would be in the best interest of both teams. Plus, it gives our people at home a little bit more time with their family before they come out to the game.
Plus, you know, 8 o'clock start, you can still be there at 8:15, be fashionably late, not miss much game. Okay. Hey, that's what we get. We got a call, Scotty? Okay. Let's go to line 2 here. Hi, thanks for calling you on Headliners.
I'd like to say something to E.Z, please. My son played for Northwest for 4 years, and I'd give him anything to get to play for E.Z that 4 years. And his team reminds me of a team that's coached by Lee J. Stone.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a good idea who this is, and I know I feel the same way about your son, too. He was a great athlete, and I wish him the best. Hope he heals well. Anytime you're considered with Coach Stone out of Asheboro, I mean, that's just to be considered in the same breath, you know, as a compliment. But I do appreciate that.
So Asheboro, they're in the 3A playoffs in the East. They're 8-2. They're on the roll. They've got that program back down there, haven't they?
Do a good job.
Okay, we got another call home. Let's go back to the lines. Hi, thanks for calling you on Headliners.
Yes, I'd like to just congratulate both coaches for well-played ball game last Friday, and I was wondering, what are the chances of the same two teams being in the playoffs?
Okay, good question. Good question. I guess you guys are hoping there's real good chances, huh? When would that happen, the way the brackets are? Would it be the state semifinals or?
It would be the semifinals. And roll down to
that game.
Different brackets as far as the Western.
I know it's no too early to tell, but would that game be at Kannapolis?
Yes.
Okay, because of what the
Higher seed
within the conference. So they still got that rule. I know you guys, Forest Hills last year, a couple of years ago, we didn't like that trip down there.
Should have won.
Hey,
solved a lot of problems.
I guess so. Let's talk about injuries. I know Burns was off last week, Coach Hardin. They had an open day. That's kind of I don't know if that's the time to have an open day. Maybe that's the time you need to be playing and peaking. But if they had some injuries, I'm sure it wasn't
Well, in tonight's paper, Coach Green responded to that, and he was thankful for the week off. I didn't do any pre-planning, so unfortunately, we didn't get an opportunity to see them. We have film and scouting report there, but I think he likes it. I like to continue to play, but you know, it can work for you or against you, whatever the situation is.
Well, they got a chance to scout you guys in person, though.
That's 2 weeks in a row.
Well, that's all a good one. Let's go back to the phones here. You're on Headliners. Go ahead.
Yes, this is Bruce Hardin. This is his paper carrier calling. This is football game. I haven't seen him yet, and I was letting them know that I'm still got that deal for him, Maurice, and Roland Grant coming up. Just let me know whenever you're ready.
All right,
One
thanks.
of the nicest guys I've met in Kannapolis, and his family is just concerned and always very supportive. So it's a pleasure to have people around like that.
See, I thought he was calling about his paper bill.
Listen, after Friday night, Bruce gets more in the paper. I mean, he can get about what he
I'll
wants.
take care of the bill.
Guarantee it. Let's go back and take some more calls here. John Headliners, go ahead. Yes, you're on the air, caller.
Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, I got two quick remarks. First of all, I'd like to congratulate both coaches for getting their players into the mood where they don't taunt each other when they make some great plays or get ahead, and that shows remarkable. It's just so nice to see that on the field of high school kids, because that's where it belongs, teaching them that. And now, for the hot dog, and that's no good, but they get exuberant, and I can understand that. So I appreciate their not taunting each other. That's real nice. And I want to ask Bruce, have you given any more concern or thought about putting names on the back of the jerseys? And I'll stand by.
Okay.
Not at this point. I really haven't. So I don't. Maybe I'll take a long look at that in the off season and share some concerns of other people. But I've never done that, so I don't know if it'd be helpful or not. I'll take a look at it though.
See, as big as Tommy Gilmore and Dino Miller are, they got big jerseys put names on the back, aren't they?
I think Bruce kind of has the same thoughts I do. A lot of times when you put the name on the jersey, it takes the team away and it gets more into individuals. And the name would be great. I mean, it really is kind of nice, but you can't really see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a spider on our sleeve, and we got CHS on our sleeve, and some people can't even see our numbers. I mean, we do such a good job of hiding our numbers. So I'm a little bit against putting names on jerseys, my own self.
Mm-hmm. Of course, superstition. Some coaches may be superstitious about that. I know Northwest has got the names on their jerseys, and even with the television camera zooming in, it's tough to pick up. So I hope everybody knows their names. Maybe that's my rendition. Of course, Bruce, last year it might have helped you your first year in Kannapolis to know some of those players' names.
Well, I made a confession to our players that about a fourth of them I didn't know their names the night we played Statesville. So got better though.
Oh Lord. Let's go back to the lines here. Hi, thanks, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, for E.Z. Is that the light reflecting in the studio on his head, or is that gray from Friday night's game? And of course, the serious question is, can the boys, after losing a game like that with 8 seconds on the clock, come back and play Lincolnton with full force and full motivation just to go back to Kannapolis again?
Well, I think this may sound a little egotistical, but I think one of the main things I'm not that good of a coach. I have a good coaching staff, but I really feel like I can motivate young people. That's part of my job, and the main portion of it. We have done some things this week, as I said before. We had a good practice Monday, Tuesday, and tonight we had a good practice. And we also had a cookout for them, and we're going to have something tomorrow night. And the parents are the ones that are wanting to do this. I think our parents are more concerned about them than maybe our coaches are. But our kids, they just have a resiliency about them. After the game, we spent some time on the field together. I wanted them to be there and to realize what it takes to be a champion. And we learned that from Kannapolis. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But at the same time, we wanted to get all the hurt out then. And because Monday, we went to work. And we went to work hard. Basically, the coaches went to work on Saturday. But I think we'll be okay. As I said earlier in the program, I'll be real disappointed if we don't come out, play aggressive defense, and our football team doesn't move the ball on offense. That will really shock me more than anything else.
And also the shine of the head. It's not the gray hair. It's not the lights. It's shine off my head.
No, I'm gray and fast. I've been rode hard and put up wet too many times in the last 10 years.
You're still holding up pretty well.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I mean, he doesn't look like a 53-year-old man, does he? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe gray does something for you. If it does, I might better get more.
Long time.
Now, Z and I were in a couple years apart in school. Now, if he's 53, now that makes...
You're 60.
Yeah, that's right. Let's go back to the phones here. Hi, thanks for calling Headliners. You're on the air.
Hello, Randy.
Doing great. How you?
Just fine. I was going to ask both the coaches something there. I wish them both good luck in the playoffs.
And I want to know how many home games that they play if they keep on winning, say this Friday night and then the next Friday night. How many home games consecutively would each team be there if they kept on winning?
Okay, good question. We'll talk about the brackets and everything. I guess you got to get past the first round first.
We're at home this week. Then we go to, if we would win, if we were fortunate enough to win, we would go to either West Henderson or Salisbury. And then we would be back home, and then if we played, we would go to Brown, if we were fortunate enough, and then the state championship games in Chapel Hill.
Well, Bruce, I think you guys are on the road with it more.
Our situation, if we win Friday night, we would go to either North Iredell or Lexington. And if we were to win there, we would go to the winner of the stateful bracket. I can't recall all the teams in that bracket right now. And then if we won at that point, we would be back home for the fourth game.
We've got a couple of calls. Hold on, we'll get to those in just a second. Let me ask you guys, the West versus the East. I'll let you have time to sit down and maybe look at it, but it seems like a lot of the, you got the Statesvilles and the Lexingtons and the West Caldwells. Of course, Kannapolis, Concord are not weak teams, but it seems like the West has always been stronger over the last couple of years in the playoffs. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, just listening to David Gutshaw last year, apparently by what he said, and David's real honest, that he did not have as tough a route as we did. He said there were not that many good teams in the East, and then I started naming the teams we had played. So, but that can change in one season, so it's really hard to tell.
Tell you, if we weren't playing Friday night, I would love to go to see either Richmond County and Garner play their first round game, or Burlington, Cummings, and Tarboro. Well, I mean, those are going to be two great games too on the first round. So there's a lot of good football teams that are involved in 3A, 4A, 2A, 1A all the way down. So I think it balances out.
For the state games, you always got to beat them boys in the mountains. Somehow you got to meet them sometime, and it seems like a game is always up there for some reason. I don't know what that is. But West Caldwell, we've been up there a few times, haven't we?
I love it up there. I tell you, it's a great place to go.
Okay, let's take some more calls here. Hi, you're on Headliners. Go ahead.
Yes, Coach Smith. I would like to applaud the defensive effort your team gave Friday night. I think they thoroughly dominated the game except for the final couple minutes. And I think a key turning play was David Damon, who went out with an ankle injury. What is his status going into the Lincoln ball game? I will hang up and listen.
All right, thanks.
After we were running the wishbone, and of course on third down we ran David in, and David's had a bad ankle for the last 2 weeks. He was stepped on more than turning the ankle, and so the doctor wanted to get the tape off, and it had gotten loose, so he retaped it. David missed the touchdown pass and the kickoff, and then he was right back on defense. He did not miss but one play on defense, and that was the series before when we had the interception where he got a finger in the eye, and so he was out 1 or 2 plays on defense all night. He's fine. He's been at practice. We've limited what he can do. We're not going to take a chance on a great player like David hurting himself Monday through Thursday and not being able to play Friday. He's under the care of our orthopedic doctors and our team doctors and our trainer, and we've taken him through therapy, and he was running. He's chomping at the bit, though. David's just a sophomore. He's a young player, and he doesn't understand that you have to kind of take time with ankle injuries. But makes it kind of nice knowing that David and Houston are kind of standing over there. I like them being on my side. They're fine young men.
Bruce, what is the status of some of the guys that almost fell off the press box Friday night? I mean, there were some injuries down there with the people coming on the field.
I almost lost my neighbor when I heard. They said they were pretty excited.
I think our cameraman, Wayne Beam, was down there covering that. He's going to be back in time for Friday night. So he was questionable up until today.
I had a guy that he was just hugging out of exuberance, I guess, and I had my clipboard right here, and he had my arms pinned, and it was stuck right under my chin. And I felt like if he didn't let go, I was going to pass out because I couldn't get in the air and I couldn't tell anybody. And I tried to kick him in the shin. So I apologize.
Explain that, because we couldn't get a post-game interview. He's on oxygen. Let's go down to the telephones again here. Hi, you're on Headliners. Go ahead.
Hi, Larry. I have 2 questions. First of all, for Coach Smith. Bruce Hardin said that after the game, his first comment was wow, and his second comment was Maurice Blakeney. What was the first thought that went through your mind?
if I'd have had a 30-06, I'd have shot that ball out there. No, seriously. I think the very first thing I thought about was my players. I'm the kind of person that I really get caught up with my players' emotions more than I do my own self. I'll have another chance to play Kannapolis, I hope, and sometime in the next year or so. And I really worry about our young people and how it was going to affect them. My thoughts went to what can I say that will make a difference in their lives under this adversity? How am I going to react to it? How are they going to look at me and expect me to react? And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to say this on television. I did not cry until I got in the end zone and my son put his arms around me and he looked at me and he said, "Daddy," and he was crying, he said, "Daddy, how long will it be before I can play for you?" And I said, 7 years. And he said, "I'll get that belt for you in 7 years." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, see, if it takes that long, I won't be here to be the coach." But seriously, I got caught up in it just like with everybody else. Your emotions run away with you at times. But that was my thought. The first thing I thought were my players and how was I going to respond to them.
Bruce, you've had now, let me ask you, after 2 years, especially after last week, what does that? Is that Concord Kannapolis game this year a little bit different than it was the first year you were here, is it?
Well, it was close enough last year. It came down to that one block kick, and then this was really exciting. So, and it's true, they really did dominate us at particular times. But, our guys have a motto: if you get knocked down 7 times, you get up 8. And that's exactly what they did Friday night. And that's a good characteristic of young people, that they never give up, and they try to just constantly be persistent and attain those goals. And good things happen to good people sometimes.
Easy thing to get him broke in on this series now?
I think I believe so. He was in some good ones at Harding and West Charlotte, so he knows what it's all about.
I've been thinking about something all week. Next time E.Z comes up there, he said he's going to bring those little boys up there. And apparently he left the little ones in home and brought those big men up there. So I stood beside Kenny Rogers going up at halftime, and I was really shocked at just how big he was. I'd never met him or whatever, and I was really impressed with the size of the players.
There was not one player as big as I am.
Bruce saying, "Thank goodness, we got killed." Listen, we're going to have to take a break. Callers who are on the line, stay there. We'll get to you when we come back here on Headliners Special Playoff Edition live here on TV 13. Larry Mason, in case you wonder where my partner is. Well, Larry, no, he had a previous commitment. Actually, our chair broke, and Larry's really down there. No, he had a previous engagement. He'll be with us Friday night. Bruce Hardin and E.Z. Smith here. We're talking about the upcoming game. Kannapolis against Burns Friday night at Memorial Stadium. And, of course, Lincolnton will come to town to take on the Spiders. And both teams are obviously going to win. Lay a whooping on them teams from out of town, that's for sure. Let's go back to the lines here on Headliners. Hi, thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Hi, I just want to ask retiring. Are you retiring after this season is over? Thank you.
I hadn't planned on it. We talked to the players yesterday, and it's kind of a challenge and motivation, and it's a lot of truth to it. It's a miserable feeling to be a football coach, and all of a sudden you get to this point, and you lose a ball game, and you're a coach, and you don't have a team to coach. So there's a real emptiness about this time of year. I think it's an exciting time, but it's a little scary, a little eerie for coaches, and it's almost like a general without a war sometimes.
Don't worry, Warner fans. Bruce got 20 more years, that's for sure. He's he just wears his age well, right? He's younger than us.
Thanks, Reed.
Yeah, okay, all right. Hey, I think we'll get in free next week. Let's go back to the phones. You're on the air.
Yes. I would just like to congratulate the Concord coaching staff for doing such a wonderful job with the offense as well as the defense. And I also would like to ask both coaches, how do they rank their last year's team with this year's team?
Okay, thanks for calling. Good question.
I think it might be easier for me to answer. both of our teams were 7-3 during the regular season. We're a very much contrast. We were an offensive football team last year. Jimmy Hitchcock made a lot of big plays for us. We were somewhat one-dimensional in the fact he could run it and pass it, and we had great receivers, and we had good running backs. Running backs were young, and they're now our running backs this year. Defensively, we put some good people on the field, but we did not have the caliber of defensive players this year, or last year, excuse me, that we have this year. We would have won a lot more football games last year if some of these guys would have been playing on defense. I don't think you can ever rate past teams. I think that's difficult to do. You're excited about the team you have each and every year. One of the best football teams I've ever coached was my 1981 team. They were big, they were strong, they were physical, and they did a lot of good things, and that was the first team we went to the playoffs with. So, you know, you hate to go back and start comparing, but if you could take an all-star team and put them all together, there'd be a lot of good ones out of Cabarrus County, all out of Northwest Central, Mount Pleasant, Concord, and Kannapolis, and South Rowan. You'd have a great all-star game.
Have to have some kind of computer to pick it, wouldn't it? I don't know if it could be fair then. But, I mean, to tell you guys, we lighten things up. It's the first time I think we've had both coaches on here. You guys don't have K's on your shirt and C's on your shirt. You're kind of out of...
I got black on.
Randy, this is the shirt that A.L. Brown coaching staff gave me for my birthday, and I'm awfully proud of it. So,
okay.
My mama gave me this one for Christmas last year.
I know you probably are.
Oh, I guarantee.
Okay. All right. Well, I just had to talk about the costumes, not costumes. I'm sorry.
Let him compare his team. I want to hear this.
Oh yeah, let's hear this, Bruce.
let me remember the question. Well, the comment I was thinking when he was asking the question was, there was a lot of pressure on our football team this year to live up to last year's expectations of what happened. And if you've never been there, that's tough. That was a concern of me. And one of the things in the off season that I said to myself was that last year, you know, with all the good things that happened, I really didn't take time to stop and really smell the roses, so to speak. And I said, if we have a good year this year, I'm going to take time to do that. But all of a sudden you get caught up in that pressure. One of the things we were able to tell our young men Monday is, you know, right now, you are conference champions. This is your season. So what's in the past, it doesn't really matter. You've created your own team. And that's why, and so that's another type of pride that we've tried to instill in the players, and I think they feel that because this year's team, not last year's team, are conference champions. Mm-hmm. And we want to take that to bigger and longer strides.
Well, hopefully 4 weeks down the road, you guys will be talking about the round 2. Let's hope so. Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? Let's go back to the lines here. John, headliners, go ahead. Yeah, you're on the air. Got a question?
Yes, I'd like to ask Coach Smith how he feels about on the third touchdown about going for the 2-point conversion instead of the extra point attempt.
Okay.
Well, if I knew we were going to miss it, I wouldn't have tried for it, but I felt like we had to get 21 points. If we'd have still got the 2-point conversion, it'd been 21 points, they'd have kicked the extra point and tied it up. They may have had a penalty for being on the field and celebrating and might have missed it. It's still gone to overtime. If we'd have kicked the extra points and made those, we would put the pressure on them. That decision did not beat us, I don't feel. I think every coach in America would have gone for 2 points so that you could have gotten ahead, you know, by 14. That's just logistics. So the play we ran was a good play. We just didn't get it to the point. We've scored a number of times on it, and I hate we didn't score. But that still didn't keep them from taking the football and scoring twice after we had 2-point conversions. So that play was not that significant at that point, I don't think.
I guess, Bruce, everybody's talking about the final drive. You had to score that first touchdown was probably the key to everything, wasn't it?
It sure was. That was a big play, and we ran a little counter play out of the shotgun formation just to kind of give us a chance to see what defensive position they were in, and then gave Maurice a chance to read their coverage. And it looked like they were basically in man-to-man coverage at that point, so it was time to crank it up and let that arm go.
We were talking last week. Larry was kidding about you guys run politics. I tell you, after last week's game, if you guys had been in write-in candidate, whatever office you may want to have, be clerk of court, mayor, whatever, you guys probably got some votes yesterday, wouldn't you?
I don't know. We probably would have lost by one again.
Good answer. That's worth 50 points right there. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're on Headliners.
Coach Hardin, have you thought much about retiring Maurice Blakeney's jersey? And also, Randy, have you thought about ever having a female do your color or your play-by-play with you?
Bruce, I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to think about that one.
Well, I think what's important right now that what Maurice does in his future, and I'm sure if good things happen, and I think when you take into consideration retiring a player of his caliber's jersey, you go back and do a little homework in your history and make sure that you're not leaving somebody out who's done similar things in the past. And I would have to do a little more research to really know what to do before I attack that one.
My turn, right? You guys help me out. No, I haven't really given it any thought, but I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. I think one of my favorite sportscasters is Gail Gardner. You guys familiar with her? She started at ESPN. She's now with NBC, and she's one of my favorites. So yes, there is a place for women in the broadcasting booth. I'm not a chauvinist or whatever. I think if you could do the job, you're there. I'll give it some more thought. Don't tell Larry, okay? All right. Hope that answered your question there. That's line 2, Scott? Okay. Hi, thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. My question is to Coach Hardin. I observed you running in Blakeney and Combs at the defensive backfield. I was wondering, is that a situation, substitution, or is that the starters aren't good cover guys as Blakeney and Combs?
Basically, a situation, we have a lot of confidence in our starters, but our defensive staff, they run about 6 or 7 different type coverages, and so we mix that in, and sometimes we want to disguise things, and we just feel like different people do certain things well, and gives them an opportunity to show that. So it's just a different type of coverage.
Okay, let's go back to line 1. Hi, you're on the air. Go ahead. Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Coach Smith.
Yes, sir.
How you doing? This is Clinton Bell. I just wanted to call and applaud you on great year that you have done with the younger players and all, and just applaud y'all effort on Friday night and everything. And to Coach Hardin, I'd like to applaud you also for coming to Kannapolis, and you've really done a great job stepping in and taking them to the state playoffs last year, and also on a great job that you did this year winning the championship. I'd just like to thank both of y'all great coaches for being the FPC and everything.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you for calling. I tell you, I don't know what's on the other channels tonight, but they got bad ratings. I tell you, we got folks flying in to call the coaches here tonight. Kannapolis and Cockle in the playoffs, and I got a question. We're going to go one more call, and then we'll get to that. Hi, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yeah, I'd like to know, Coach Smith,
Yes, sir.
your team, are they going to win this game coming up Friday to win it, or are they going to win it to beat Kannapolis in the next round?
Well, we don't meet Kannapolis in the next round. We went into this season looking into each game 1 week at a time, and I don't think you can ever look forward to anything else. Last year, we knew if we beat Lexington last year, we would play Kannapolis because we felt like Kannapolis was going to win, and that was part of our motivation last year. And of course, Lexington had a great team, and they defeated us, and they went on, and Kannapolis defeated them. So we missed out on that opportunity last year. This year, we really haven't talked very much about anything past Lincolnton. We're back to the stage, as Randy said earlier. Everybody's 0-0. We're going to go into the state playoffs, and we know we have 1 week, 1 ball game, and after that night, there'll only be 16 of us left, and then we'll go from there and see what happens.
You guys are both playoff tested. The programs have been there a lot in the 80s and now the 90s.
I prefer to play at home anytime.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that fan support really means a lot. I know it helps me, and you walk out there and you feel the presence of the people, and it just makes a difference.
So you feel too?
We've done it both ways. We've won at home. We've won on the road. So, you know, either way, we're just happy to be there. I mean, it's a great opportunity for our program.
I guess I'll take my hats off to salute the Kannapolis and Concord fans. I think you guys, it doesn't matter because you have, a lot of times on the road, you've got as many fans, if not more, than the home team has. So maybe, like, that wasn't really an away game last week, Z.
No, I kind of like the old way when we used to split the gate. You could go up there and get beat and bring home a pot full of money with you. You know, and if we would play again, Bruce and I were talking about the other day, just, you know, it would be a great thing for us to play, but financially it would be a great thing for both programs. And, you know, it helps support the other non-revenue sports that are in our schools. So that's part of it, too.
Maybe we'll buy an extra gallon of paint next year with the budget. Maybe a new chain or something like that. Let's take some more calls. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to congratulate both coaches on a well-played game. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about there being a penalty on the last play of the game. Could you coaches just clarify that and kind of clear the air?
There was no penalty. I'll tell you what I did. I couldn't see the play. I never questioned it. The referee raised his hand, the game's over with, and there was this touchdown, and we lost. What I did is when I went home, we got our video camera out, and we froze it. And, of course, he's on his knees. Scott's on his knees. Maurice is letting the ball go behind the line of scrimmage. And Mike Kennedy tips the ball. And Matt Walters, we've kind of got double coverage on him. We got two people right there. And we tipped the ball up. And it's attributed to Jordan. He never took his eyes off the ball. I mean, he looked straight up, came down on both knees in bounds, and the ball was out of bounds, and he reached and caught it. TV 13, WSOC, and WBTV were all standing right there along with our camera on a zoom lens, and it was a great play. I think the thing that you ought to admire about the referee, and I called the referee that made the call, and I congratulated him as the losing coach. I told him, I said, the thing I admired most, you looked and see if he caught the ball, you saw he was in bounds, and then you made your signal. You didn't hesitate after you checked your areas. That's because we had one of the best officiating crews that we had all year. And I think, you know, there was no controversy. Our fans were upset. I was upset. But at the same time, it was a great play, individual effort. So you can't cry over that. We're going to win something like that, and we're going to lose something.
So with all the television cameras rolling that last Friday night, I think if they'd had to go up to the booth, we probably had it covered. We could have had a I'm sure Z would say, let's check that play again, see if there was a conclusive evidence or something like that. But that's probably the most well-covered play in recent high school memory.
Randy, if there had been a penalty, probably what it would have been had time been remaining on the clock would have been the celebration in the end zone. You know, and if that was the controversy, that would have been it.
The fans running out on the field, something like that, that would be a penalty delay game against the home team.
Yeah, if it came down to a situation and there'd been time, we would have had to kick the extra point to win the ball game. We would have been penalized on that particular play, probably.
I have to tell you, those people are in pretty good shape to get over the fence that fast. I want to tell you. Let's go back to the phones here. You're on Netliners. Go ahead.
Yes, I know you coaches don't like to comment on who you might possibly play in the coming weeks because you're concentrating on this Friday. Some of us have to make schedules for ourselves and travel out of town. So any way that you could comment on who you possibly would play the next couple of weeks if you advance? Thanks.
Okay. Well, you know where they're going to be, if they're going to be away or home, but Bruce, I think, well, I don't know. All teams are good when they get this stage, but it looks kind of like last year. It just drops out there and we have Burns, right?
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's absolutely correct. I have no desire to look prior to this particular ball game. That's our big concern. And playoffs is, like we said before, it's like sudden death. And you know, if I just were a guessing person, and you look at North Iredale and Lexington, you know their tradition of their team, you know their coaches, and I'm sure they're in the same situation they are. So I don't, if we get by this one, I'll be happy to comment next week, maybe.
I could have taken all that pressure off of Bruce if Maurice would have just downed that last play.
That's true.
He wouldn't have to be worried about that.
I think if you want to look ahead at what will be Statesville, yes, would be Kannapolis 3 weeks from or whatever, but it's Lexington and Statesville. And Z, you guys have not got an easier road for sure, although the records at this point don't mean anything, do they?
No. The winner of our game plays the winner of the Salisbury-West Henderson game at their place. And then you go from there.
Okay, I think we're getting the call to wrap us up, Scott, is that right? Oh, a break. Okay, we've got a couple of more calls holding, so stay with us. Bruce and E.Z and myself, we'll be back when Headliners continues. Kannapolis and Concord meeting Burns and Lincolnton. It's a tag team, best 2 out of 3, no time limit. So let's go to the phones here. Hi, thanks for calling. You're on the air.
Yes, my question is to both coaches. How do they feel about their athletic programs other than football, such as the non-revenue track, cross-country and stuff? Brown finished last year first in football, as we know, and a cross-country team that I know of finished third in the state. How do they feel about their other teams, and what are some of the expectations for them in the future?
Okay, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Good question. Good question.
I think we have a high interest, and I think our basketball programs are kind of upbeat this year. We've got plenty of experience. We were in a young player situation. I think they've learned a lot, and at this particular time of the year, I know more than players and know their enthusiasm, their caring, and of course I've had an opportunity to work with the coaches, and they're fine people, and they give a 100% an honest effort, and there's a community support right there. So I think things at A.L. Brown are in good shape.
I think you talk about our sports, and especially the non-revenue. Our girls tennis team's been in the state playoffs, 7 out of the last 10 years that I can remember. Our soccer team in the state playoffs. Chuck Borders does a good job with our soccer program. We look at our wrestling, and it's coming up better and better. And of course, our basketball team, they went to the playoffs again last year, and our track team does a good job. Baseball, all our sports do. We're in this for young people. We're not in it just because we're football coaches, and we get excited when somebody wears the black and gold and they go out to participate in an event. I'm going to be right there for every one of our kids.
And I guess I have to add another sport. Bo does know basketball, doesn't he?
I guess it does.
Okay. Different type of bow we're talking about. A little bit smaller than the guy in the pro ranks there. Let's go to the phones here. You're on Headliners. Go ahead.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I have a prediction and I have an observation.
All right.
I predict that this week Kannapolis will prevail. Next week Concord will beat Salisbury. The week after that Kannapolis will beat Statesville. I have a question. In the event of a tie, how many overtimes can there be? What's the status there? And can you tie in a championship game?
Play till you win.
Okay, one observation. I think I'd like to see a lady play-by-play and maybe a lady commentator and Larry together would be good.
I agree with you. Thank you.
I just read in the Athletic Record Journal today in Arizona they had 2 teams were playing had 7 overtime. Team 1, 7 overtime.
They probably played to a 7-hour game, I guess.
I think they commented over 3 hours.
Ooh, that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Scott, we got a couple of minutes left. 2 minutes. Okay, got a couple more calls, and that'll be about it. We'll kind of have to wrap it up for this week. Hi, you on the air? Go ahead.
We just had to speak to Joe Smith.
Okay.
What do you think about when this upcoming game?
Well, we're all playing Lincolnton Friday night at 8 o'clock, and we're excited about the opportunity to be in the state playoffs. And we're going to come out and get after those Wolves. We're not afraid of the big bad Wolves.
That's right. Who can play? And the big bad Bulldogs at Burns. Burns Bulldogs. That's got a ring to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, healthy just like his.
Yeah, but nobody over 6'1" on Burns' team, is it?
And have quarterbacks about 6'4", and got a linebacker 6'4".
Okay. All Well, anyway, I guess if you guys play as good respective teams this week with the number of penalties and no turnovers, certainly not going to beat yourself. And if you're going to get beat, that's the way. You're not going to lose much sleep if the best team, if they come out and just whoop you bad.
Well, you lose a lot of sleep, Randy, when you win. You lose a lot of sleep when you lose. So it evens out itself.
I need you to come up with something there. Bruce, you've got some good philosophies and everything like that, you know.
Well, this time of year, football is really the fun part, exciting, and I think coaching out both, when you get to this point, and your staff and your players see all the good things that are there, and you accomplish the improvement, you're not just happy to be there. You get to this point, you want to dig in and go all the way, because I've gotten to a point sometimes and been on teams where all of a sudden everything's gone great, and then you've lost, and all of a sudden throughout the entire off season you want to kind of reflect on that one game, and that's the one you remember. And for your seniors and the players that made improvement, and boy, if you just keep going, you know, and just climb that mountain and reach those goals.
I tell you, you guys won't mind putting off Christmas shopping a couple of weeks this year, will you? Stay alive in the playoffs, and best of luck, and hope you win your respective games this week. And hey, maybe we'll do this next week. This is fun, isn't it?
Nice to just be with you.
Okay. Thank you folks at home for watching, and we appreciate all the calls and the nice comments. For Larry Mason, who will be back with us Friday at the ball game, Bruce Hardin, E.Z. Smith, and everybody here at TV 13. Remember what I said, say have a nice week, okay?
TV 13 presents the first round of the 3A high school football